What's up? I'm Red Feather Free with Red Feather Free Shamanic Arts. Some people call me the Dragon Shaman. Today is a prefatory video for a series of videos that's going to be coming out over the next couple of days to do with the Christmas holiday, astrotheology, alchemy, shamanism, herbalism, Gnostic traditions, theology, religion, science, astronomy, all of it. It's all connected to this time of year and this holiday. Yesterday was December 21st, 2014, the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, and last night was the longest night of the year. And hence this video and the series of videos are going to be called The Dark Night of the Soul, an exploration into the meaning of Christmas. Christ Mass, meaning the dinner of the Anointed One, or the dinner of the at-one-ment, of the atonement. Now what do we hear in the songs of Christmas? He'll know if you've been naughty, he'll know if you've been nice. That's atonement. Atonement is judgment, which is what the entire holiday is all about. The death, the judgment, the oneness, the realization of oneness in love, forgiveness, and then resurrection, eternal life being granted to the Spirit. We find this story going all the way back into the oldest mythological traditions that we can find to date, but the Gnostic tradition teaches that they go all the way even farther back into the antediluvian times, meaning pre-flood, i.e. the times of Atlantis and Mu, some 15, 20, 25,000, 50,000, a quarter million years ago. And we still find archaic forms of this worship today in areas of Siberia and in the Amazon jungle and in the mountains of Mexico and places where the shamans are still taking the sacred mushroom, as written about by John M. Allegro in his book The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, the Amanita muscaria, which he proves philologically that all the names of the gods and all the stories associated with them, especially the Christian mythos and the story of Jesus the Christ, are allegories and are stories about the herbs and the knowledge, the ancient knowledge that the priests kept secret and hidden because it's what allowed them their power, what allowed them to be perceived as magic, as all-powerful or omnipotent, and thus allow the people underneath them, the sheep, to follow the shepherd. However, in modern times, we are all to be our own shepherds and no longer sheep. This is what all the great sages have wanted. They have not wanted people to follow them. They have not wanted followers. They've wanted people to lead themselves. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. If you lead yourself and you love yourself, you'll extend the love and the leadership to your neighbor as well. And he likewise will extend it to you. And leadership is setting an example. That's what leadership is. It's not directing, it's not micromanaging. A true leader leads from the front. He sets the example for others to follow. And that's what we, as prophets and as shamans and as sages and magi or wise men throughout history, have tried to do, is to emulate the example of the way, or of the Tao, as we have found it to work for us. Because to quote a 14th century Mongol ruler, a Khan, there are many ways, many paths to Tengir. Not every path works for every man, and it's up to each man to find his path. Hence why the Oracle at Delphi told us to know thyself. Is it in order to get to the Almighty Father in heaven, back to the absolute, the concept of the absolute that all ancient traditions throughout the world have held. Truly, everything can be considered monotheistic at its root and pantheistic in its shallow level. All the ancients understood that everything ultimately disseminated from one seed, one divine ultimate spark, the absolute, the chaos before conformity. And that we all can trace our roots back to that, if you will. That we all come from that one seed and we're all ultimately connected as one. Which is what the mysteries of this time of year are all about. And it gets back to the story of Isis and Osiris and the tree, the Christmas tree, the tree of life, is us. And the lights on the tree of life correspond to our chakras. as well as literally the experience that we see when we activate our pineal gland through things like DMT and other magic substances like herbs and plants, which have been used by the magi, or the wise men, for time eternal. The same wise men who looked at the stars and saw the signs of the heavens portending, and they saw Sirius rising, and they knew that Saturn was in his return at that particular time, and that it had been foretold that at the end of the age there would come a prophet. And that's when Jesus came. And they went to the city of Bethlehem, which is, again, meaning from the line of Ham. And Ham goes back to Tubal-Cain. Ham was the son of Noah, but comes from the pre-flood time, from the line of Cain. Tubal-Cain taught Ham the arts of Cain. And if you read in the Zohar, as I will illustrate when I study the 3 books of occult philosophy, edited and annotated by Donald Tyson, that in the Zohar it tells us that Eve, in the 130-year period after they were kicked out of the garden for partaking of the fruit, and the time that Adam would not procreate with her after Cain did what he did, supposedly, the spirits, we're told, came and copulated with Eve, and thus created the sons of God, or the race of heroes. And at the same time, we're told that Adam was copulating with 2 she-demons, Lilith and Nama, and that they were creating a race of demons. So we have descendant from Eve, before Adam and Eve began procreating again, descended from Eve and the spirits, the race of God, the sons of God, the wise men, the sons of Ham, or the sons of Cain today, as we would know them. And then from Adam and Lilith and Nama descend the demons, the devils. All of this is ancient Kabbalistic tradition, and it's encoded in many different myriad of forms and symbols, numerologically, architecturally, geomantically, in music and in literature, allegorically. The mushroom is represented throughout literature and symbolism in all the world's religions. It's the serpent. And it's the idea of reciprocity, or the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. What goes around comes around, literally. Karma, the wheel. Immortality and the virgin birth are also speaking of the mushroom and the mysteries of the mushroom, but also the time of year when souls of a specific makeup are to be born. Born of a virgin, the Savior, the King, who's born of a virgin, describes a man who's born at a specific time of year, and the alchemical makeup or admixture of his soul of the elements, the mixture of light and dark, make him a balanced man, someone who's able to walk in both the light and the dark. And this is what the man Jesus Christ was. He was born of a virgin, which means the constellation Virgo. He was conceived in the heart of darkness. Now, the time of Christmas, this nadir, 9 months from now, his body will be born, but his soul's conception comes in to matter at this particular time. His first birth, if you will. His second birth is in Virgo in September. And if you look in the Mayan calendar, 4 Khan is when the 9 wise men were supposed to have descended into the being as deity, which is allegorically, I believe the Mayans were the keepers of the ancient Kabbalistic tradition in its purest form. And when the church fathers arrived, they found this pure and pristine form of the ancient Gnosis tradition that hadn't been eradicated by them, or hadn't been destroyed over the last 1400, 1500 years of fire branding and executions and burnings at the stake and library burnings carried out by the Roman Catholic rule, the combination of church and state, which still dominates the world today. Even though we claim to be a secular rule in America, we are ruled by church and state as one. Yes, we are. You may not think that is the truth, but it is the truth. We do not have freedom to pursue our spiritual enlightenment in America as we see fit, with the ancient tradition of using the plants and the herbs, which have been known for time immemorial to give man spiritual experiences, also known as entheogenic experiences, i.e. the near-death experience, which is a fractal of the sun's yearly death here at this particular time, the winter solstice. He dies on the 21st, he stays in hell for 3 days, and he's resurrected on the 25th, born again, triumphant, the newborn king, risen. We get the tradition of giving gifts at this time of year because in the judgment hall, traditionally the shaman or the dead person gives gifts to the Lord of the underworld in order to please him and placate him. We find this tradition in Egypt, in the Egyptian mythology, as well as the shamanic Tingiri philosophy practiced by the Siberian shamans to this day. It is universal. We are all one, and as the Mayan prophecies so long ago predicted, the world would come back to this ancient knowledge. After we went through all the strife and the cataclysms that we've been going through, we would ultimately reconnect and find our roots and our heritage in the same place, and that all the peoples of humanity are nothing but different fruits hanging from the same tree. We're all grafted onto the same vine. I thank you for tuning in. Please share this video. Please consult me. Contact me via Google Hangouts and via my phone number on my profile. Please, for my services, a consultation, a tarot reading, a rune reading, advice on nutrition or health, spiritual guidance, counseling, I do it all. If you're feeling depressed or even suicidal, I've been trained when I was in the military for coordination and intervention. And also I've been working with post-traumatic stress disorder for years and years and years myself, and I've got quite a bit of experience in counseling on how to go about setting yourself aright with yourself so that you can get to a place where your temple, where your mind and your body are capable of accepting the Spirit. Because let's be honest, that's the problem that we live in today. We live with so many shells or veils around our body that the Spirit cannot be recognized, that it cannot come in. We've defiled our temple so much that it is not a suitable host for the Word, for the living Spirit anymore. We're more or less in modern times, a lot of people run around and walk around like zombies, completely and totally unaware of who and what they really are. But as Christ, the man, said in John, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." That we are beings of eternal light and life and spirit. It can be best summed up as the living effigy, the byproduct. We are Horus, that is the byproduct of the union, the sexual union between Osiris and Isis, between the Father, between fire and the earth. Gives rise to the air and the water. What happens at the junctures of the zodiac between fire and earth except for storms? This is the ancient knowledge handed down astrotheologically. They would predict the auspicious days when fire and earth would unite and would bring the sacred rain, the sacred semen from the skies to impregnate the earth and give rise to the creation, to the life-giving sustenance of the plants to be eaten by the animals so that the animals could digest them and give fertilizer back to the plants and then die and give nutrients back to the ground and the earth itself and keep the entire circle of life going around in a spiral, ever onward and ever upwards, in the spiral of evolution and creation. And it's not always upwards, you know, it's not always a linear projection upwards. Sometimes there's a correction downwards and then back upwards and downwards and back upwards, but ultimately it's a spiral that's going in the Fibonacci sequence exponentially into infinity, back towards the union with the absolute from which we came. Eventually we'll have to eat our own tail and the entire cycle will begin again. Maybe under a new set of laws or rules, as have been predicated from this go-round. Who knows? According to the ancient Gnostic traditions, the iterations or the existences before this existence were very much by a different set of rules, hence the reason why they didn't work or didn't last. I love you all. As I recognize myself in you, I try to love myself more every day, and therefore love you more every day. Just like Jesus says in the Bible, if you truly believe in your heart anything that you want and you pray for, you will receive. However, you first must forgive those whom you harbor ill will against, whom have trespassed against you. You must issue forgiveness first before you can have forgiveness, because if you hold a grudge in your heart, your prayers and your desires will not be received. You have to have a clean heart, no regret, no grudges. It has to balance against the feather of truth on the scales of justice. I look forward to bringing you the next series of these videos, as I'm going to get into much deeper scholarship, reading you excerpts from Carl Gustav Jung's Mysterium Conjunctions, James Avery's Mushrooms of Mankind, Cornelius Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy, the Egyptian Book of the Dead translated by Wallace Budge, the Mayan book of the Jaguar priest, the Chilam Balam. The list goes on. The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross by John M. Allegro, the Kabbalah Denudata by Mathers, Cumorah Revisited, the Book of Mormon, the Holy Bible, the Rig Vedas, the Norse traditions, Aleister Crowley's The Book of Thoth and the Tarot. I'll be consulting all of these things over the next few days to show you just how all of this is connected and involved on a very, very deep level. In Lakesh, namaste.